be a screw, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the third part of, What If Ichigo Enters Claymore? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of Hollowfied tweaker on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. A town north of Rocket. Not too long ago, this town was quiet and peaceful, with nothing amiss. Then, less than an hour ago, a battle ensued between a substitute / deputy Shinigami and a Hollowfied awakened being in the east part of town. The latter decided to use a small group of awakened to decimate the entire town as he engaged the Shinigami in battle. Now, half the town lay in ruins as the smoke and fire that sweeps the southern part, turns most of the buildings to ash. Among the death and chaos, a sign of life emerges, a teenage girl running from something huge, craving to devour her entrails. The awakened being chasing her, stands 25 feet in height and covered from head to toe in scaly armor plating. His head is reptilian-like with a long split tongue and 4 eyes. At the end of each arm where hands and fingers would normally be, are 3 large claws. As the girl tries to flee, she stumbles over some debris and falls to her hands and knees. She turns her head to look back as the awakened's giant shadow looms over her. Tears began flowing from her wide, fearful eyes. PL. Please, I don't want to die. I'll do you a favor because you're such a appealing little girl, not to mention that I love blonde hair. I'm gonna devour you whole, you won't even feel a thing, I promise. No. He grins then opens his mouth wide, exposing his fangs and tongue. At that moment, an explosion of energy and strong winds distracts him for an instant. He turns to face the point of origin and sees the overflow of black Ryatsu engulfing the east part of town. What the F is that? What the hell can give off that kind of energy and power? Could it be the person Gulliver is fighting? I should go check it out, but first. He turns around to face the girl, but finds someone standing in front of her, staring up at him with a wide, evil smirk on his face, the same stranger that's been following Ichigo and Miria as well as the small group of awakened beings gathered by Gulliver. Who the F are you? Didn't you hear me? I said who the FING hell are you? Don't wanna talk, huh? Fine, I'll just swallow both of you at the same time. Shut the hell up. What the hell did you say to me, you FING insect? Shove it up your ass. What? That's it, I'm gonna rip you apart and eat you piece by piece. As the awakened opens his mouth, the stranger jumps up and lands on top of his tongue. So, you like killing defenseless people, you ugly mother F. The awakened pulls his tongue, along with the stranger, back into his mouth and shuts his jaws closed. The girl screams as the feeling of fear and panic washes over her. Tears begin to flow from her eyes as she watches the demon hybrid move closer towards her. As he stares down at her, all 4 of his eyes begin to expand then suddenly burst, causing him to violently rake at the air with his claws. Without warning, the top of his head explodes, raining purple BLD down on the street below. As the awakened being's corpse finally collapses onto a burning building, the stranger jumps out, landing softly in front of the girl who is fully drenched in the half-demon's BLD. He glances at her, turns and walks away. Thank you, mister. He halts for a moment and turns his head to look at her. Don't get the wrong idea. I wasn't trying to help you. Leave now. Find a place to hide, there's more of them around. Oh, okay. He continues walking. By the way, you're welcome. She smiles as she watches him walk away. My name's Caitlin, she yells to him. Try being a little more quiet, unless you want them to find you. Oh yeah. He continues walking towards the other part of town where death, disorder and mayhem continue to reign. Sensing Ichigo's Ryatsu rising, he pauses for a moment, looking toward the eastern part of town. Humph. Ichigo Kurosaki. Ichigo's body begins to twitch as he lazily opens his eyes. His blurry vision begins to adjust and sharpen as the painful throbbing in his head slowly subsides. He finds himself lying face down on the ground of his inner world. Sluggishly, he gets up while grabbing the side of his head where the pain is more pronounced. Looking around, he notices that the fog which was here during his last visit is no longer present, yet things still seem far from normal. Although the skies are clear with just spots of clouds appearing randomly, daylight is replaced by twilight and the darkening sky appears more gloomy as the seconds tick away. What the hell's going on here now? First fog, now this. What's next, snow? Ichigo. Huh? Ichigo turns around to find Agasai's Zanpakuto partially embedded into the ground at his feet. Old man. Are you in there? Old man. Ichigo, he's coming, Ichigo. What? Who's coming, huh? Footsteps. He quickly turns around as the footsteps appear directly behind him. Wah. Here's Ichi. Evil Ichigo stands with his arms spread out like a pair of wings, Zangetsu resting on his left arm as he confronts his other self. His facial features are identical to Ichigo's, excluding his maniacal smile, which slightly resembles that of Ojisi. His outward appearance is also identical, with the exception of his clothing, which is literally ripped and torn to shreds. Yes, it's me, but this time, I'm here for good. Who are you? Who am I? That's kinda obvious, I'm you. No, that's impossible. Impossible? You're a fool, you've always been a naive fool. I was born the day your dear mother was killed. Do you remember, Ichi? Anger and hate started building up within you. You hated the world for taking your mother away from you, but in all honesty, you were to blame for her death. Your idiotic urge to rescue people caused her death. If you hadn't run down the hill that day to try and save a girl, we wouldn't be here talking. Instead, you'd be at home with mommy dearest. The hilarious part is, the person you were tiring to help wasn't even a real girl, but a hollow who wanted to swallow your soul. No. It's not true. It wasn't my fault. Go ahead and keep telling yourself that, but we all know the truth. Hell, even your mother knows the truth. Oops, sorry, I meant to say our mother. He. Shut the hell up, you DMNBSTRD. Heh, you haven't figured it out yet. Each time you get angry, I grow in consciousness. Every time you let hate consume you, I grow stronger. And now, thanks to you, I'm here to stay. Ha 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 ha. I'll stop you. You, stop me, and how exactly will you do that? With harsh language. Don't you dare underestimate me. Evil Ichigo grabs Zangetsu with his right hand and slashes Ichigo's face, cutting him diagonally on his left cheek. Whoops. He smiles, then takes a bow. Thank you very much. Ichigo lunges forward, but Evil Ichigo kicks him in the midsection, causing him to slide backwards several feet, stopping next to Ojisi's Zanpakuto. Ichigo looks down and slowly reaches for it, causing his evil self to laugh hysterically. Go ahead and grab it. You aren't man enough. You're just a little bee. I said don't underestimate me. Ichigo, don't. Ignoring Zangetsu's words, he grabs the handle of Ojisi's sword. Suddenly, the long black cloth attached to the end of the handle begins to wrap itself around Ichigo's right arm until it covers his entire body, stopping just short of his neck. Ichigo is completely immobilized and drops like a log. His evil twin stands over him, smiling. Now that I've sealed you away, I have free reign over your body. BSTRD. Let me go. Hehe, I can't wait to finally get my hands on Orihime and Rukia. I wonder if they're into threesomes. Damn it you FBSTRD, don't you dare lay a hand on either of them, or I think Orihime won't be much trouble. If you haven't figured it out yet, she's really in love with you. I'm guessing that she'll let me do anything I want to her, anything. Actually, I'm positive of it. Rukia on the other hand, she'll be a tough one to crack, but eventually she'll see things my way. Oh, all three of us is gonna have a good time. He. When I get outta here, I'm gonna. Oh, I nearly forgot about Miria. She's a hot one too. I can't believe the only thing the two of you did in that room was kiss. I mean come on, the girl was practically naked. She would have let you do all kinds of things to her. Everything imaginable. I should know 'cause it was me in her dream and she enjoyed every single minute of it. Although, that scar on her body is kinda nasty. Maybe I can cover it up somehow. Oh well, whatever. Son of a B. If you touch her, I'll kill you. That's right, the sky's the limit. Well, gotta go, got people to kill, girls to abuse, see ya around Ichi. He. Deawamam. Ichigo feels despair and hopelessness overtake him as evil Ichigo disappears from view. All his life he has never quit, has never given up, but now that his will has been shattered, he finally succumbs to his inner torment. A town north of Rocket. As the black, swirling mass of Ryatsu fades, the obscure figure from within steps forward, still holding the injured child in his arm. What's this? She looks dead. Releasing her, she lands HRD on the ground with a thud. He laughs at the thought of his other self being such a sympathetic fool. He believes bothering with such a frail and feeble child is a waste of time. Unbeknown to him however, Miyata's body is continuously absorbing his Ryuryoku, causing her wounds to slowly heal as she lay there motionless. He continues walking forward until he stands face to face with Gulliver. His blank expression and the searing look in his eyes are enough to give even Isley pause, it's almost as though he's looking into his very soul. Yo. I'm glad you found me, it kinda saves me the trouble of trying to hunt you down. You arrogant son of a b, I'm gonna kill you. Then why not you release your Yoma powers? Why? Because I won't need them to kill you. Is that so? I'm gonna beat you with your own powers. My own powers? Don't play stupid with me. I'm talking about your hollow powers. I see. To be honest, I don't think I'll need my hollow powers to kill you. What? I saw the fear in your eyes, even if it was for just an instant. Admit it, you've already lost. F you. How dare you underestimate me? I was the organization's number 7, long before your grandfather was even born. I've killed more Yoma in my lifetime than any of the organization's soldiers. I've slaughtered tens of thousands of humans just because I was bored. And you have the audacity to look down on me. I'd suggest that you use everything you have to fight me because I'm gonna tear you to pieces then feed you to the others. Heh, if you really want it that bad, I'll be more than happy to oblige. Now I suggest you should pray to the god that you worship. Placing his left hand slightly above his forehead, he quickly begins materializing his hollow mask. As he slides the mask over his face, the extreme changes in spirit pressure can be felt by everyone. His dense Ryatsu is so overwhelming that Angelica hesitates momentarily, turning her attention away from Miria. What is that strange, powerful Yoki? Who the hell is he? You should really concentrate with the battle at hand. Huh? Angelica turns her attention back to her opponent, but in the blink of an eye, Miria vanishes then quickly reappears behind her. Arg! Angelica's sword hand falls to the ground as the wound Miria caused, bleeds profusely. You be. I'm going to kill you. What's wrong? I thought you wanted to have a little fun first. Don't mock me or you'll rigor. Before she can finish her sentence, Miria vanishes and in a split second, reappears in the same position as if she never left. Angelica suddenly grabs her own throat with her remaining hand as purple blood pours through her fingers. Miria was able to cut her neck deep, but not enough to decapitate her. She tries to speak, but is only able to gurgle out unrecognizable words. Humph. I meant to completely remove your head from the rest of your body, but it would seem I have yet to adjust to this new speed. What's this? Angelica's yoki suddenly spikes as her transformation begins. A pair of reptilian-like wings sprouts from her back and her once human head changes into something that resembles the head of a cobra with several rows of long fangs protruding from her jaws. Each arm morphs into several eel-like tentacles, each with 2 long spikes at the tip. A vertical row of short spikes emerges down the center line of her front torso. The rest of her body remains human-looking except her toes, which have changed into long curved claws. So this is your awakened form. How interesting. The ice-cold stare coming from Ichigo's yellow and black eyes causes a sense of dread to develop within Gulliver's soul. Startled at the amount of immense Ryatsu Ichigo's body is releasing, Gulliver decides to release his Yoma powers. He begins growing in size as his entire body changes to stone. A single horn emerges near the back of his head and one on each shoulder. He now stands 5 meters in height and weighs well over 2 tons. A small hollow hole can still be visible in the center of his chest. Ichigo begins to speak as his reverberating voice echoes throughout the town. How amusing, but I'm still going to kill you. Really, well I'm gonna squash you. Like I said, how amusing. Gulliver charges a Zero and fires it. You think you can play hollow with me? Ichigo extends his arm toward the incoming Zero and easily deflects it with the palm of his hand, diverting it upward into the sky. Gulliver is in shock and awe to what he had just witnessed. Impossible. You call that Zero? Pointing his index finger at Gulliver, he begins charging an extremely large Zero. Here, let me show you how it's done. Then fires it. Gulliver braces himself and tries to block the beam with his arms. On impact, the Zero causes a huge explosion, hurtling Gulliver into the nearby hillside. At that same moment, Miria and Angelica continue their fight. Your comrade seems to be losing, and since you're an awakened being like him, I'm not going to hold back either. Angelica tries to strike Miria with her hyperextended tentacles, but is unable to make contact due to Miria's new mirage technique. The multiple afterimages created by her begins encircling a confused and frustrated Angelica. Then without warning, Miria severs her right leg. Angelica screams in pain, then tries to counterattack by shooting a barrage of spikes from her chest. Each spike passes through the various mirages, but never connects with the actual target. A surprised Angelica watches her left arm fall to the ground. Deciding to flee, she launches herself into the air and takes flight. Miria releases a small amount of yoki, localizing it specifically to her legs, and leaps up toward the fleeing awakened. Landing on Angelica's back, Miria grabs onto one of her wings and raises her broadsword high into the air. For all the atrocities you've committed tonight. PL. The look in Angelica's eyes is that of fear as Miria swings the claymore down with all her might, completely severing her head from her shoulders. As the female awaken's horrified head falls to the ground, the rest of her body spirals downward in an uncontrolled freefall. Releasing just enough yoki to augment her arms, Miria grabs hold of both wings to try and manipulate her direction and rate of descent. She is able to create enough drag to slow down her vertical velocity and glide the body back to the ground. Moments before impact, Miria leaps up and lands, rolling with the fall. She quickly stands up, gripping her sword tightly as she looks toward the embattled duo. Ichigo, you're using that mask again. Gulliver slowly gets up from the ground, grinning as Ichigo walks toward him. Is that your best shot? To be honest, it kinda tickled. Really? Is that why you're missing a forearm? Gulliver lifts his left arm to see that everything past his elbow is gone. He roars in fury and increases his yoki as Ichigo looks on in amusement. I'm gonna kill you. I seem to hear that a lot these days. But seriously, what are you gonna do, stump me to death? Ha 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 ha. Screw you. No thanks, you aren't my type, Getsuga Tensho. Gulliver quickly charges then fires a zero from his mouth as the black wave of energy travels along the ground, tearing through dirt and rock. Both waves finally collide, creating an enormous explosion which swallows up both combatants as Miria looks on with concern. Ichigo. As the smoke and dust slowly clear, Miria can see the faint outline of the victor holding up his adversary by the neck. The outcome was never truly in doubt. Gulliver's massive, stony form is now clearly visible. Nothing remains of his legs as both extremities lay on the ground, battered and pulverized. The left side of his crumbling torso has been nearly obliterated with pieces still falling to the ground. Yet, even while in this condition, Gulliver still manages to smirk. Did you really think that a piece of SHT like yourself can beat me? You continue trying to assault me with an attack originally not your own, borrowed from Hollows. Maybe before I arrived you were something special, but now that I'm here, you people are nothing. Ha, Hollowfied demons, how ridiculous. You think so? Gulliver slashes Ichigo's face with a large, long blade that rapidly emerged from the back of his right hand. The sudden attack slices his mask in two, with the lower portion dropping to the ground as Ichigo's wide maniacal grin is fully exposed. In retaliation, Ichigo releases Gulliver by the neck and swings his Zanpakuto laterally, but Gulliver manages to block it barehanded. Heh, impressive. However, Gulliver's hand trembles and shakes as Ichigo releases more Ryatsu. The blade begins to carve its way through. In response, Gulliver releases more yoki, increasing the size and density of his arm and hand. Is that all you got? Too bad. Black Ryatsu begins to surround Zangetsu's blade, giving it the power of Getsuga. Unable to resist the force and pressure any longer, Gulliver's hand finally gives in. The attack slices his hand and arm in half horizontally as purple BLD sprays out like a fountain. Arg. For pissing me off, it's time to pay the piper. Ichigo slams his fist into Gulliver's hollow hole and charges a zero. Gah. Say hi to Lugar for me. Ha ha ha. The resulting explosion is both blinding and deafening as the blast travels outward with devastating effect. Miria instinctively thrusts her sword into the ground and uses it to shield herself from the shock wave. Her only thought at the moment is one thing. Ichigo. A town north of Rocket. Not too long ago, this quiet and serene town erupted in death and destruction. Dozens of homes and buildings have been destroyed, with most of its residents still sleeping in their beds at the time of the attack. Uncontrolled fires and smoke sweep through the south and east areas with death tolls nearing the hundreds. A horde of awakened beings led by Gulliver were the perpetrators of this horrible assault. In the eastern part of town, the battle between two powerful individuals has finally come to an end. Within the smoldering crater, the victor stands triumphantly while laughing maniacally at the bright moon. He holds the skull of the fallen Hollowfied awakened in his hand as Miria cautiously approaches him. Is this the toughest badass this miserable world has to offer? How pathetic. I could take over this planet if I wanted to. It seems like they have nothing here to stop me. Ichigo. What are you doing? She is slightly taken aback as he turns his head to glance at her. The piercing stare from his yellow and black eyes under the broken mask, causes the hairs on the back of her neck to stand on end as she recalls the incident that happened during their first encounter. The menacing tone of his reverberating voice only adds fuel to her anxiety. What do you mean? You're holding Gulliver's skull while laughing at the moon. I just find that somewhat peculiar. Well, I'm just relishing my victory. Is there something wrong with that? You just don't seem to be the type who would what, savor the moment. Then you really don't know me that well, do you? I suppose not. May I ask a favor then? What? Please remove your mask. You have a problem with it? Honestly, I find it very unsettling. Fine. I don't have much use for it right now, anyways. Dispelling his hollow mask, evil Ichigo's eyes and voice revert back to normal. This better? Quite. Now, let's deal with the other awakened beings. What is it? I no longer sense any of their yoki. Could it be that they decided to flee after witnessing your power and Gulliver's death? How the hell should I know? Are you sure that nothing's wrong? You don't seem to be yourself. Maybe this is how I really am. Did you ever think about that? Let's just get the hell out of this SHT hole and find this Seeger character. I've got some questions I'd like him to. Wait. I just sensed something, faint. It's coming from the ruins of the inn. What is it? Another demon to slay? I don't think so. The energy signature is different. Who gives a f? Just go over there and kill it already. I swear, females are just. I really don't like your tone or attitude, Ichigo. So. Do you really think I care? Actually, yes I do. After the time we spent together, I assumed. Well, don't assume anything. It makes you look like an butt. A furious Miria turns and walks away. Ichigo drops Gulliver's skull, crushing it with the heel of his foot, then follows Miria to the inn. I should play along for now, he thinks to himself. I'll make the bee think that we're still close. When I don't need her anymore, I'll drop her like a bad habit. Catching up to Miria, he grabs her by the shoulder, causing her to stop. Irritated, she turns her head to look at him. What do you want? Look, I'd like to apologize. I've had a lot on mind lately. Seriously, I'm really sorry, okay? Sure, let's get going. Alright. Wow, thinking to himself, she actually fell for that bullshit. As they cautiously approach the inn, Miria is able to quickly locate the source of the energy signature which she sensed earlier. It's coming from under that pile of debris. Wonderful. Is there a problem? No. Shifting through the wreckage, they find the innkeeper's daughter buried beneath the rack. Miyata. Ichigo, help me get her out of there. Why? Just leave her, she's probably dead already. What if she's not? Are you just going to stand there and let her die? Fine, whatever. After pulling the little girl from the rubble, Miria checks her vitals. She's still alive, but barely. We need to get her some help. I believe there's a local doctor who resides near the center of town. DMN, what a bother. She'll probably just die on our way there. If you want to help her, be my guest, she's your baggage now. Miria shakes her head in disbelief while lifting Miyata from the ground. Carrying the girl in her arms, both her and Ichigo begin walking to the center of the ravaged town. In the streets, they find the bodies of the townspeople littered everywhere. Some are half-eaten, while others have been literally ripped apart. Look at all this devastation caused by Gulliver's lust for revenge. I'm glad we were able to put an end to this quickly. It could have been potentially worse than this. Hey, you might want to take a look at this. What is it? Ichigo points to a huge, monstrous body laying on the ground among the deceased locals. An awakened being? His head is literally torn in half. I doubt the locals could have done this. So. I can sense the residual ryatsu of someone familiar. You mean the person who did this came from your world? Yeah, more than likely. I can't tell if he's still around though, but I'm pretty sure he'll show up eventually. Is he a friend or foe? Who knows, maybe he's here to kill me. You seem to be taking it rather lightly. Why worry about it now? Anyways, if he wanted to kill me, he could have done it at the inn. Point taken. Do you think he killed the other 4 awakened? Is that why I can no longer sense any of their yoki? Knowing him, that's exactly what he would do. His lust for battle knows no bounds. I see, we should keep moving. Lead the way, gorgeous. I like watching your cute peach shake. Excuse me. I mean, you first, hee. Humph. Reaching the undisturbed center of town, they find that the entire area is deserted, like a ghost town. After spending almost half an hour searching, they finally locate the residence of the town doctor. Like with most of the area, the doctor's home is also abandoned. As they search the placid dwelling, Miria finds a room filled with medical supplies and places Miyata on the bed located in the center. The doctor must have evacuated along with the rest of the townfolk. I know nothing of medicine or dressing wounds. How about you, Ichigo? Nope. I can't say that I do. Personally, I'd just let the brat die and get the hell out of here. Well, I'm gonna see if there's any food in this dump. Good idea. After watching Ichigo leave the room, Miria searches every cabinet to find anything which could possibly help tend Miyata's wounds. Down the street in another building, the mysterious person who slaughtered the 5 awakened beings which terrorized the town, tends to his own wounds. He's angry at himself for letting his guard down and underestimating his opponents. Dirty bastards tag-teamed me. I should have realized the son of AB was just baiting me in. Heh, guess that's what I get for being a little arrogant. Effer took a pretty big chunk out of me too. A tiny sound from behind causes him to tilt his head slightly to the left. You might as well come out now, girl. I know you've been there a while. The blonde teenager he saved earlier steps out from behind a cabinet in the next room and slowly walks toward him. Hi, it's me, Caitlin, remember? Yeah, I remember. What the hell do you want, girl? I just wanted to thank you for saving me tonight and... You said thank you already. Once is enough. Well, I know, but I also wanted to see if you were okay. I'm fine. Just get the hell out of here, I don't need your sympathy. She looks over his shoulder to view his wound. You're injured. My uncle is the town doctor here. I learned a few things from him. I can help you like you helped me. So what? This is nothing, I'll be fine. Now, I'm gonna tell you one last time, get the F out of here. No. Say what? I'm not leaving until I help you. What if I just kick your butt and throw you out of here? Then, I'll just crawl back in here, so I can help you. You stubborn bee. What the hell's with you anyway? I told you I only want to help. Fine. Fix me up then get the hell out of here. Thank you. Humph. Back in the doctor's home, Ichigo is relaxing by a fireplace, eating some food found in the kitchen. As he sits and watches the flames dance around and crackle, he suddenly feels a cold, sharp blade against his skin. He turns his head to see Miria's claymore resting upon his neck. What are you doing, Miria? Do you remember what I told you back in the cave? Vaguely. I told you that if you posed even the slightest threat to this world, I would execute you. Is that so? And exactly what threat are you referring to? Don't play stupid with me, I know you aren't Ichigo. At least, not the Ichigo I know. Not Ichigo? What the hell are you talking about? Who else could I be? You're the one Zangetsu warned me about. The one trying to take over Ichigo's mind, body and soul. You're the same one that attacked me before. Well, I guess you've got me all figured out now. What exactly gave me away? First, was your attitude and demeanor towards me. Second, was your treatment of Miyata. Wah. Although I've only known Ichigo for a few days, I feel that I've gotten to know him quite well. Your uncaring and self-centered personality totally contradicts his in every way. We've spent enough time together for me to differentiate between the two of you. He would never treat me or Miyata in such a way. You think so, huh? I know so. Really? And you think it's so simple to take the life of someone you care deeply about? Do not presume to know me. Feelings aside, the life of a single individual is less important than the life of millions. Ichigo understood this, and I will do whatever I have to in order to protect this world. As Ichigo stands up to face her, Miria increases the pressure on her sword, cutting his neck and causing blood to trickle down onto his chest. He looks directly into her eyes before saying another word. So it's like that now, you heartless bee. Well, what the hell are you waiting for then? Go ahead, take his head. What the F are you waiting for? Miria's hand begins to shake and tremble as she applies more pressure. She bites her bottom lip as a single tear falls from her eye. The very first tear she's had since before joining the organization's ranks. Ichigo pushes her sword aside and pulls her closer to him. You can't do it, can you? I should kill you for crossing me like that, but I'm actually very attracted to you. You've been wanting Ichigo for a while. He didn't want to give in to you, but I do. Unlike him, I won't hold myself back. Isn't that what you've been craving for? No. Don't bullshit me, Miria. In your dream, you wanted more. You didn't want me to stop. Now, it'll be the real thing. PL. Please, you need to, stop. If you really wanted me to stop, you'd be trying to put up a little more resistance than this. Your heart wouldn't be beating so fast and you wouldn't be sweating this bad. Evil Ichigo turns her around with her back facing him and slowly undresses her from the waist down. Even as she pleads for him to stop, she doesn't try to resist, not even in the slightest. He places his left arm around her waist and his right arm over her melons. He begins pressing his body against her soft derriere as he tenderly kisses the back of her neck, which sends shivers down her spine. Are you sure you want me to stop? I can, if that's what you really want. No. Please, don't stop, oh. More tears fall from her eyes as she curses herself for letting Ichigo have his way. She knows that she's stronger than this, so why does she give in so easily? What the hell is so different now? She closes her eyes as her body involuntarily quivers with ecstatic joy. Oh. A town north of Rocket. A few days after the battle, the townspeople have already begun rebuilding their ravaged town. The accounted death toll has risen to 213, with possibly more buried beneath the rubble. In the streets, a strange man questions the locals regarding what transpired days before. His inquiries lead him to the home of the young survivor who witnessed the destruction firsthand. Herself, along with the only other survivor, are surrounded by the town elders who deem both of them as a possible danger to everyone. We have decided that both of you shall leave here and be exiled, never to return. But we haven't done anything. Enough. You must understand our wariness with the situation. Both of you were in the middle of that attack, yet somehow you managed to survive against a group of voracious eaters. Especially for a child as young as her to survive against such an onslaught is unimaginable. The both of you might very well be Yoma. But I told you, a man saved me. He killed one of the Yoma right in front of me. Caitlin, I would like to believe you, but given the circumstances, I agree with the rest of them. But uncle, I believe you have nothing to fear from them. Both are still human, however. All eyes quickly glance at the door from which the voice is heard. They are startled to see a man wearing a long, black cloak with a circular metallic object on top of his head and eyes which are completely white. Behind him stands an imposing figure with silver eyes, blonde hair and a huge sword behind her back. Mr. Rado, I can sense a strange energy emanating from the little girl. It is definitely not Yoma, but I have never sensed anything like it before. It's a very dense and powerful aura. I see. May we ask what you two are doing here? I'm not aware of anyone from our town requesting assistance from the organization. Officially, we are here to investigate the rampage caused by Yoma, which destroyed part of your town and their defeat by a mysterious person. I need to learn this stranger's identity, and I'm also very interested in this young child who survived. Your cooperation will be much appreciated. We don't have any information regarding the stranger you speak of, although my niece might be able to help you. She claims to have first-hand account of what happened here. Now, the child's name is Miyata. She's the daughter of the innkeeper whose establishment was destroyed in the east part of town. Both of her parents have been found dead and she has no other relatives, which makes her an orphan. An orphan? If that is the case, you shouldn't have any objections if I take her off your hands. The group looks at one another and nod their heads in agreement. We have no objections, do as you please. Splendid. Mr. Rado, I must warn you that the child seems to be emotionally and mentally unstable, possibly due to witnessing the death of her parents. It might be unwise to. I will take your concerns under advisement, but if she does possess a powerful energy as you claim, I believe she will make an excellent addition to the organization's numbers. But. Be quiet now. I've made my decision. So where were we? Oh yes, I need to interview this other girl, in private. Any objections? No. One by one, the entire group turns and walks out of the room. Rado closes the door behind them. So Caitlin, what can you tell me about what transpired here? Well, I was on my way home when the Yoma attacked the town. They were destroying everything and killing everyone. I tried to hide, but it found me. I thought I was going to die, then a man saved me. He jumped into the Yoma's mouth and made its head explode. Interesting. He told me to hide somewhere because there was more of them, so I did. I ran back home and couldn't find my uncle, so I hid in my room. After a while, I decided to peek out of the window and I saw him again, walking down the street. He looked hurt, so I took some first aid supplies and followed him. When I got back here, I found Miyata alone, sleeping in the room over there. I see. Now, about this person who saved you, what did he look like and what happened to him? Well, he was wearing strange clothes and carried a sword. Go on. Near the ruins of the inn, Ziger, Reinhardt and Lovino carefully examined the site which staged the previous battle. They find the shattered remains of their fallen comrade in a crater beside the nearby hillside, as well as the decapitated body of a female awakened not too far away. It would seem neither Gulliver nor the awakened gathered here were enough to defeat the boy. Yes, Reinhardt, as I stated before, none of us were strong enough to kill him at our previous level. Unfortunately for Gulliver, he learned that lesson the hard way. Impatience and haste will only lead to one's downfall when dealing with the unknown. With the implementation of the more powerful Hollow, I believe we have the strength to finally slay that child and incorporate his powers with our own. I just wish Gulliver didn't lose his patience and leave us. If he only waited a little longer, things may have turned out differently. Although stupid, he still was a good friend. Rage begins to build within Reinhardt as he clenches his fists. Lovino grabs his shoulder and points to the western lands. I know Gulliver fought valiantly against such a strong foe. His death will not go unpunished. We know the boy went in that direction. I can still sense remnants of his aura. He can't escape us. We'll exact our revenge when the time is right, and if the female decides to intervene, I'll rip her apart with my bare hands, as well as anyone else who stands in our way. Reinhardt nods his head slightly as he stares towards the west. Yes, revenge is a dish best served cold. It'll be more satisfying when we take his head without warning. He will rue the day that he crossed us, and I'm going to make sure he suffers greatly for it. Magnificent. Ha 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 ha. Reinhardt and Lovino quickly turn their heads due to Ziger's sudden outburst as he picks up an object from the ground. Ziger, what is it? This, Reinhardt, is something I've been waiting for. It's the lower portion of the boy's mask which we can use to complete my experiments. There is a vast amount of his energy still present within it. The boy is of no further use to me. But I will say this only once, I have no need for retaliation. Lugar served his purpose and Gulliver chose to confront the boy on his own accord. He's paid the price for it, but has also provided me with a prize. Furthermore, the boy is of no consequence to me. Once the procedure is complete, there is nothing anyone can do to stop us. I will destroy the organization, conquer this pitiful island and bring the entire world to its knees. And if the boy chooses to challenge you, then it will be his funeral. But if you are so worried, Reinhardt, by all means, do as you wish. I've got more important matters that need to be attended to. Ziger turns and walks toward their group of racked-up horses, placing Ichigo's partial mask in a pouch strapped over his left shoulder. He unties the lead rope of the halter, mounts his horse and quickly leaves the area, heading west toward his hidden complex. Watching Ziger disappear in the distance, Lovino turns his head to look at Reinhardt. Well, it's your call. What do you want to do? You're my leader, not him. Thanks for your loyalty, Lovino, but I believe now is not the right moment to strike. We'll bide our time for now. These new powers given to us by Ziger is still untested. I believe we should wait until Ziger completes his plans, then we'll act. I'd rather not take any chances this time. Whatever you say. Reinhardt and Lovino mount their horses and follow Ziger as Reinhardt looks towards the southwest. Soon boy. East of Gonal. Near the shores of a small lake, Ichigo and Miria decide to rest under a large tree. The soft sounds of the waterfall, the wind blowing through the trees, the birds flying through the air and the setting sun in the west are so calming and soothing that Miria wishes she could spend an eternity here. Although that is what she would like to do, she knows such a longing is impossible. Glancing at Ichigo, she wonders if she'll have the strength to stop him if he becomes a menace. I think it's imperative that we stop Ziger and send you home. Are you sure that's what you really want? To send me home? Yes, of course that's what I want. You don't sound too certain. Look, my main objective is to stop Ziger's plans, helping you get home is my second. What if I don't want to go home anymore? What do you mean? What I'm saying is, I'm actually starting to like this world of yours. I've got free reign over. They quickly turn around as a man suddenly bursts forth from the bushes behind them. He drops to the ground on his knees in front of Ichigo, clearly exhausted. What the hell's wrong with you? The man slowly gets up and grabs Ichigo's sleeve, holding on to it tightly like a lifeline. PL. Please, you got to, help me. I don't have to do anything, you crazy BSTRD, let go of me. Ichigo throws the man to the ground while grabbing his Zanpato and quickly swings it down toward him as the man raises his arms above his head in an effort to protect himself from the assault. Don't you ever touch me again. Miria blocks the attack with her Claymore as the stunned man looks on in surprise. Ichigo, stop. What do you think you're doing? I don't believe you were actually going to kill this man who's asking for our help. Back off, Miria. The son of AB shouldn't have touched me. If you want to kill him, you'd have to go through me first. Oh, don't tempt me. Just because we've been really NTMT, don't think for 1 second that I won't go through you to get to him. His response not only surprises her, but it also seems to tear her soul apart. I don't believe you just. At that moment, they find themselves suddenly surrounded by a large group of bandits, at least 40 in number, all brandishing weapons. A man, seemingly their leader, dismounts from his horse and walks over to Ichigo and Miria. He looks down at the frightened man laying on the ground. We've finally caught up to you, Riginden. You're going to pay for stealing from me. Why, wait. I didn't steal from you, Jared, I just found it. See, I've got all the gold, right here. Sitting up, he pulls a large sack from under his jacket and hands it to him, shaking heavily. Jared grabs the sack from his hand and opens it. You know, there's one thing that I hate more than people stealing from me, it's people that lie. PL. Please, I'm With a quick slide of his sword, Jared beheads a shocked Reguitan. As his body falls to the ground, his head rolls and stops at Ichigo's feet with a thump. The frozen expression on his face is that of surprise as his cold inert eyes staring up at him seems to still plead for mercy. Jared slowly turns his head to look at Ichigo and Miria. I don't know who the two of you are, but unfortunately I don't like leaving any witnesses, so I suppose the both of you will just have to die right here. Jared's men begin surrounding Ichigo and Miria, drawing their weapons. Ichigo looks to the left and right then erupts with maniacal laughter. A look of confusion appears on Jared's face. You think it's funny that you and your lady friend are about to die? No, what I find funny is the fact that you BES think you can kill us. Hell, I'll bet you couldn't even lay a single hand on her. Ichigo. What the hell did you say to me, you little SHT? I said you're a little b. Kill them. The entire group of bandits charge in and attack. Ichigo kicks Reginden's head like a soccer ball toward Jared, causing him to catch it with both hands. In an instant, Jared is quickly impaled in the forehead by Ichigo's sword. As the others close in, Ichigo swings his Zanpakuto with Jared's horrified head and corpse still attached. He, Getsuga Tensho. Jared's head explodes as the black wave of energy cuts dozens of men in half. Using her new Mirage technique, Miria is able to evade and confuse all of her attackers, while severing each of their hands in the blink of an eye. Fear sweeps through the remaining bandits as they decide to drop their weapons and flee as fast as they can. Those two are Yoma, run. Ichigo quickly shunpos in front of the surprised group, anger clearly written all over his face. What the hell did you just call me? Don't you ever associate me with those ugly bastards. Ichigo raises his sword then drives it deep into the ground. Getsuga Tensho. The ground surrounding Ichigo erupts in a gigantic explosion of black energy which travels outward like a tidal wave in all directions, hurtling everything in its path high into the air while simultaneously shredding them to pieces. A rain of BLD and body parts washes over the area as Miria quickly shunpos away from Ichigo's attack, reappearing atop a nearby hillside. Ichigo suddenly appears next to her, scanning the immediate vicinity for more bandits. Well, that looks to be all of them. Miria grabs his shoulder, staring at him with disbelief. What's wrong with you, Ichigo? Those men were unarmed. They were fleeing and didn't threaten us any longer. There was no reason to kill them. They pissed me off. That's all the reason I need. What's your problem anyway? They were the ones who tried to kill us first. I didn't kill the ones who attacked me. These humans pose no real threat to people like us. There's a huge difference between defending ourselves and slaughtering people for fun. I absolutely draw the line at senseless killing and murder. Whatever. Look, if you don't like the way I do things, just get the hell out. I don't need your help anyways. That might be the best thing to do at the moment. To be honest, I don't like what you've become. You're turning into a monster, Ichigo. You're wrong, sweet cheeks, I am a monster. Miria sheathes her claymore, turns and walks away from him, clearly irritated. Miria, just because we've had a lot of fun together, don't think I won't treat you like the enemy if you try to cross me. She stops and turns her head, gazing at him irately. The smirk on his face seems to enrage her even further. Don't make me regret not killing you when I had the chance. If push comes to shove, I'll do whatever it takes to stop you if you continue this behavior. Heh, we'll see. Oh, by the way, did I ever tell you how I love the way your cute peach shakes while you walk? Hee 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 hee. Don't force my hand, Ichigo, you have no idea what I'm capable of. Hee 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 hee. You know, you're very appealing when you're angry, Ichigo responds with a grin. Miria glares at him furiously then continues walking towards the setting sun in the west. After I stop Zeger, I'm going to do everything I can to save Ichigo from the evil that's consuming his soul, she thinks to herself, if I can't. She pauses for but a moment, almost tempted to look back at her former companion, but decides to continue her journey to the western lands, in search of Rizz. Somewhere in the western lands sits a small, seemingly normal town with a population of just under 200 people, surrounded by mountains on one side and a large river on the other. At this time of year, the town is normally engaged in annual festivities, commemorating the founding of their community just a few decades before. During the past few weeks, however, the townspeople have been plagued by several grisly deaths and disappearances, causing fear and dissension to spread like wildfire among them and effectively halting any form of joyous celebrations. During a recent town meeting to discuss their dire situation, it was decided by the elders that the townsfolk would request help from the organization to rid themselves of the possible Yoma threat terrorizing them. Anxiously waiting for the Claymore assigned to aid them, the townsfolk are surprised to see a mysterious male figure dressed in strange black clothing and orange hair, approaching from the east. People on the streets quickly enter their homes, lock their doors and arm themselves as Ichigo enters the town. He is greeted by wary eyes peeking through closed windows, behind crates and barrels, as well as in the observation tower located in the center of the main street. The unfriendly and hostile atmosphere which can be felt throughout the area neither dissuades nor intimidates the young Soul Reaper from entering the town. He is actually quite amused. After passing several houses, Ichigo is stopped by a large group of armed men suddenly appearing from the buildings on both sides of the street. A tall, burly man steps forward from the group to confront him with sword in hand. "Who are you and what is your business here? What's it to you, Twinkle Toes? You speak strangely, are oddly dressed, and you have the stench of death covered all over you as well, giving us more than enough reason to question you. Outsiders are not welcome here, especially with our current problems. You need to leave this town immediately." "Heh, and if I don't, what ya gonna do about it? I'll tell you one last time, stranger, leave now or you'll regret ever coming here." "Oh, how scary, my butt. Kill high." Before he can finish his sentence, Ichigo quickly shunpos in front of him, startling everyone in the group. "Hey, guess what time it is?" "Wah." Ichigo grabs the surprised man by his neck with both hands and lifts him off his feet. "Before I came to your lousy little town, I destroyed several villages on the way and killed everyone in them. You were right not to trust me, but death comes for everyone and, it's your turn, B. Help me. I'll bet you're the one having regrets now." His screams for help are ignored by his fellow townsmen as a sudden overwhelming terror consumes them. The man begins clenching his teeth tightly and his eyes roll back as Ichigo begins squeezing his neck with more force until it finally snaps like a twig. Ichigo smiles as he throws the limp, dead body like a rag doll at the man's comrades, sending a few of them crashing into the side of a building. "So, who's next?" One of the men looks down at the lifeless body of his friend and in a fit of rage, he draws his sword and points it at Ichigo. More men in his company quickly follow suit. "He's got to be the Yoma that was attacking our village, kill him." "Yeah, kill the Yoma." The group simultaneously charges at Ichigo with their swords and spiked maces as Ichigo finds himself surprisingly overwhelmed by the unrelenting and furious attack of the townsfolk, bringing him down to one knee. Unfortunately for the group, it is not enough. Ichigo's Ryatsu explodes like a volcano, hurling everyone in multiple directions. "Oh hell no. Where the F are the two bastards that just called me a Yoma?" Ichigo looks around and finds the two men laying on the ground near a building. He walks over to them as they slowly try to crawl away in a futile attempt to escape. "Don't you assholes ever call me a Yoma again." As Ichigo stares at them with a look filled with fury and eyes which have turned psychotic, the two frightened men beg for mercy. He responds by crushing their hands with his feet, causing them to scream in excruciating pain. He lifts both of them up by their collars and slams them into the nearby wall. "Here, let me show you what I really am." He places his left hand over his forehead, materializing his hollow mask, and quickly brings it down over his face. The immense pressure causes everyone in the vicinity to drop to their hands and knees as they literally suffocate from Ichigo's dense Ryatsu. The men are further terrified by the menacing sound of his reverberating voice. I'm gonna squash all of you like cockroaches. He grabs the two men by their faces and charges a pair of Ceros with both hands. Their eyes open wide a fraction of a second before their heads explode from the release of the red energy beams. The buildings behind them gets completely obliterated by the blast, killing every person who were inside. Just then, Ichigo senses the ever-increasing, powerful yoki of an awakened being directly behind him. Under his mask, Ichigo grins with delight. Just who the hell do you think you are, killing my human cattle? You're going to die for that. Grabbing his Zanpakuto, Ichigo slowly turns around to face the creature which addresses him. What he sees is a large turtle-like creature with long, slender hind legs and a pair of short spikes covering his kneecaps. His front legs are slightly shorter with crescent-shaped blades running down its entire length. At the end of his extremely long tail, sit several spikes, almost like the tail of a stegosaurus. The head protruding from his protective shell is human-like, save for the horn in place of his nose and the sharp long fangs extruding from the bottom of his mouth. Human cattle. You really are a disgusting abomination, something which I'm gonna enjoy crushing. Ha! When I'm through with you, I'm gonna slurp your innards and chew on your guts, savoring every moment as your life slowly slips away while you beg me to kill you quickly. But I'll just laugh and say no. Ha 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 ha. Heh, talk is cheap shithead. Ichigo rapidly raises his Ryatsu as the awakened being quickly increases his yoki. Black Ryuryoku collides with orange-red yoki, causing an explosion which nearly engulfs the entire town. Further towards the western lands. Miria has decided to rest by a river located just one day's journey east of the Zaikal Mountains. Her much-needed relaxation is disturbed by the sudden explosion of Ichigo's Ryatsu. She quickly stands and looks east, towards Ichigo's location. The worried look on her face is more than enough for anyone to realize just how much she cares about him. She clenches her fists tightly as Ichigo's Ryatsu rises even further, more than she's ever felt before. What's happening, Ichigo? She thinks to herself, what's causing you to go all out like this? Whatever it is, I must hurry and find Zeger before things get further out of control. Miria gathers her personal effects, secures her claymore and quickly leaves the area, continuing her search for Zeger and the remaining horsemen by following the remnants of their hollow/Yoma energy residue. Suddenly, she senses something which causes her to quickly turn around and grasp the handle of her broadsword. Someone's Ryatsu, but it was only for an instant. What was that? She scans the entire area where she felt the strange aura, but sees nothing. Warily, she sheaths her broadsword and hastily continues her journey toward the mountains in the west. The stranger who has been following both Ichigo and Miria, carefully remains hidden within the shadows. He grins eerily as he watches Miria travel westbound towards the setting sun. I think it'll be more fun if I follow her instead of Ichigo, thinking to himself in amusement, maybe I'll be able to kill two birds with one stone. Deep within the Zaikal Mountains. Ichigo's sudden outburst is felt as far away as Zeger's complex, alarming both Reinhardt and Lovino. The immense Ryatsu they are sensing is enough to give even these two powerful awakened/Hollowfied hybrids a feeling of dread. Lovino's facial expression is that of concern as several beads of sweat rolls down the side of his face. Reinhardt, did you feel that? Yes, I did. It would seem that either the boy is getting stronger or he has yet to show his full potential. Whatever the case may be, I will do whatever it takes to kill him. And I'm with you. After what he did to Lugar and Gulliver, I too wish to exact a measure of retribution. Zeger's experimentation is nearly complete. He no longer needs us here to stand vigil. I believe now would be the best time to strike, before the boy becomes more than we can handle. I agree. We should probably leave immediately. Are you going to inform Zeger? No. As he stated before, we can do whatever we please. In other words, we are of no further use to him. Which is fine by me. I too have no problem with that. Shall we depart soon? Yes, let's go. Our time has finally come to annihilate this, human. Unbeknownst to them, Ziger has been listening to their conversation from his study. He believes them to be fools for their adamant longing for revenge. He too has felt Ichigo's recent explosion of Ryatsu and now believes that the two of them stand no chance against this boy who seems to be the harbinger of death, unless of course he decides to intervene and finally reveal the fruits of his hard LBR. Decisions, what shall I do? Ichigo's inner world. Night and darkness fill the sky, but it's a different type of night. One with neither stars nor the moon to shine down upon the many buildings which lay sideways throughout this world. Ichigo lays motionless upon such a building with the black cloth wrapping of his inner hollow Zanpakuto, tightly wrapped around himself. He is a prisoner of his own world, trapped here by the evil which took over his body and soul, the same being which is currently wreaking havoc in the world outside of this one. Not only has Ichigo's body become evil, he has also become death incarnate, killing everything and everyone in his way. As each second ticks away, he is further drawn into the abyss, the same dark deep chasm from which the evil that controls him, emerged. He remains a helpless audience to the events which unfold through the eyes of the other being. Ichigo. Leave me, Al. Alone. No. You may think that he is stronger than you, but he is not. You must try to free yourself. If you think it's so damn easy, old man, why don't you do it? Because you have yet to even try. Shut up, what's the point anyway? I just seem to get everyone I care about killed, like my mom and Miyata. Miyata wasn't your fault. Besides. No. If I only reacted 3 seconds sooner, I could have saved her, but instead I hesitated. If only we didn't go to that inn, or if I only listened to Miria and not get involved with her, maybe if I would have done the right thing, she'd still be alive. Every day, there is someone on the planet who wishes they could take a certain moment back, but it doesn't work that way. You've got to leave that moment behind and bury the dead. Don't you see, I'm useless. I can't help anybody, I can't even help myself. Nonsense. Do you remember when you saved Rukia in Soul Society as well as Orihime from Hueco Mundo? The odds were stacked against you, yet you managed to prevail. That was different. How so? 'Cause they didn't die. Neither did Miyata. What do you mean? Her life force faded, but did not extinguish completely. She's still alive. I believe so. It still doesn't change anything, look at what this evil has done. He's taken complete control over me and doing whatever he wants. What do you want me to do? You need to play the hand with which you were dealt, it's that simple. Simple. To you maybe, but just leave me alone, okay? No, I cannot. What the hell do you want me to do about? I'm trapped. Then break free and deal your hand. I told you already, ICA. Why do you give up so easily? This is not the Ichigo I know. Well, maybe this is who I really am now. I honestly do not believe that. I don't care what you bell. Suddenly, a small beam of light breaks through the darkness, shining partially on Ichigo's face. And just as suddenly, he hears the appealing, familiar voice of someone from his past, calling his name. Ichigo. He turns his head with eyes wide open as the figure of a woman which slowly approaches him causes shock and confusion. For the first time since he was very young, Ichigo begins to cry. In a town ravaged by a battle between two monsters, Ichigo stands in the middle of the chaos, smiling. The remains of the townsfolk are scattered throughout the area, creating a gruesome bloody carpet of dead bodies. The awakened being which he has been engaged in single combat with, is barely able to move due to the injuries he sustained at the hands of the deranged Hollowfied Shinigami. Both of his hind legs have been dismembered as well as his right arm. Purple blood copiously flows through the large crack in the upper portion of his turtle-like shell caused by a single Getsuga Tensho. His long spiky tail has been pulverized and severed, leaving only a bloody stump behind. Is this the best you got? I barely broke a sweat, how disappointing. UDMN, human. I'm gonna. You're gonna what, stink me to death. Besides being extremely disgusting, you creatures smell like fish and SHT mixed with vinegar and garlic along with a hint of onions. You're gonna die for insulting me. I was a high-ranked former single-digit, Oh, shut up. Is that supposed to mean something to me? I don't give a DMN what you were. To me you're nothing more than a pile SHT. Suddenly, with his remaining appendage, the awakened being grabs a corpse from the ground and throws it at Ichigo. With little effort, Ichigo severs the flying carcass in half with an upward swing of his Zanpakuto, leaving him wide open to an attack initiated by the awakened being a fraction of a second later. His hyper-extended blades pierce Ichigo's midsection, hurling and impaling him to the side of a tree. The awakened being screams in triumphant laughter. Ha 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 ha, that's what you get for underestimating me, you pompous son of a b. I'm gonna tear you to pieces. To the demon's astonishment, Ichigo grabs the demon's blades, pulling them with great force and sending the awakened being crashing into several trees, uprooting and splintering them in the process. Slowly, Ichigo pulls each of the blades out from his body as he falls to the ground due to the exertion from the strenuous effort. As BLD gushes out from the wounds, Ichigo's body surprisingly begins to heal almost instantly. In mere moments, he quickly stands up, picking up his Zanpakuto and slowly walks over to the battered, fallen demon. What the hell are you? What am I? I'm death. I skewered you. You should be dead. Dead? That little scratch. It barely even tickled. Come on SHT for brains, you could do better than that. Go to hell. Not in this lifetime, fool. Getsuga, what the hell is this feeling? Ichigo pauses, grabbing his chest as his heart is suddenly overtaken by a strange, somewhat painful warm sensation. The awakened being takes notice of his adversary's current state and decides to attack one last time. Small teeth-like spikes emerge from the surface of his tongue. As Ichigo remains distracted, the awakened being initiates his attack by propelling his tongue and wrapping it around Ichigo's neck, with each small protruding spike deeply embedding itself into his flesh. Ichigo's inner world. Is it really you, Mom? The woman walks over to Ichigo and kneels down in front of him, placing her hand on his right cheek, wiping away his tears. The warm, soft touch of her hand seems to soothe his soul, and for the moment he feels like he's a little child once again. The small, warm beam of light shining through the darkness, grows in size until they are both fully enveloped within it. Yes, my sweet Ichigo, it's me. But, how is it possible? You died when, how could it be you? What do your feelings tell you? That it really is you. But you're darling, as long as you keep me in your heart and precious memories, I'll never truly be gone. I'll always be with you, be a part of your soul. I'll never leave you. But I. Ichigo's emotions begin to overcome him as tears flow unbridled and he starts to cry once again. As she sits on the ground, she tenderly moves him, gently placing his head on her lap. She begins stroking his hair while wiping away more tears falling from his swollen eyes. Ichigo hasn't felt this way in quite a long time. The comfort and love he feels at the moment is enough to momentarily halt the tears and end the sadness. Ichigo, I know you feel responsible for what happened to me, but it truly wasn't your fault. You need to stop blaming yourself. But Mom, if it wasn't for me, you'd still be alive. I shouldn't have tried to help that thing, it was so stupid. That's just silly. You were very young, yet you felt the need to help someone that you thought was in trouble. I wouldn't have expected anything less from my brave little boy. You really are just like your father. But the person I was trying to help wasn't even human, it was a hollow. How could you have known? You were just doing what came naturally. There is nothing wrong with that. Yes, there is. You had to protect me because I acted impulsively and I got you killed. Please Ichigo, stop blaming yourself. A mother's natural instinct is to protect their children from harm. You followed your instincts and I followed mine. I do not regret it one bit. If I had to do it all over again, I would without hesitation. If something happened to you that night, I really don't know what I would have done. I don't think I could have lived with myself knowing I failed to protect my child. Always remember that I protected you because I love you, Ichigo. You'll always be my sweet baby boy. But, don't let this evil that grew within you prevail. You have your whole life in front of you. I know with all my heart that you were meant for great things. There's still so much for you to experience. Your father and sisters are still there, waiting. They still need you. Your friends need you too. Please don't throw all of that away. Come back from the darkness, don't let my death be in vain. Mom, but he's so strong. He's made me evil. I don't think I can beat him. Yes you can, my dear. He is just a culmination of all your frustrations, all of your sorrow, pain and hatred, but especially all of your guilt and remorse. He came from the deepest, darkest part of your soul. Send him back. Let all those terrible emotions go, don't let them consume you. I don't blame you for what happened to me, neither does your father and sisters. Just throw all of those bad feelings away right now. But look at all the death and destruction I've caused because of him. It wasn't you that killed all those people. Please understand that. Fight him, Ichigo. Defeat him. I can't. We all believe in you, son. Your father, Karen, Yuzu, all your friends and especially me. You can do it. But I'm trapped, restrained. Then break free. Can you help me? I'm sorry, I cannot. I don't have that kind of strength, but you do. You can set yourself free. How? Summon all your power, all your resolve, all your being and all the love of your family and friends. You can do it, son. I believe in you. Masaki leans forward and kisses her son on his cheek as a single teardrop falls from her eye, landing on Ichigo's face. He feels her warm, wonderful aura surrounding him, giving him strength. The strong sense of love emanating from his mother causes his Ryatsu to rise exponentially. The black wrapping which currently binds him, begins to stretch and tear as more Ryatsu pours forth from his being. That's it, my dear Ichigo, I know you could do it. Near the large river next to the desolate town, the battle continues as the awakened being seemingly has the upper hand. The spikes protruding from his tongue, tears away at Ichigo's neck, causing major damage. He feels he has won this fight, he believes in a few more seconds, he'll rip this boy's head clean off. Unfortunately, he's in shock when he realizes that he's wrong. How dare you put your disgusting tongue on me, you grotesque piece of SHT. I'm gonna tear off your ugly F head. Wah. Ichigo drives Zangetsu into the awakened being's long, extended organ, causing him to release his hold on Ichigo. He tries to scream, but is unable to do so as Ichigo grabs his tongue with both hands and forcibly rips it in half lengthways. The awakened being howls in extreme pain just as Ichigo moves toward him with blinding speed. He grabs the mutilated demon by his face, sending them both into the river. After several seconds, the two of them emerge from below the water. Ichigo grabs the upper and lower parts of the awakened being's jaws with both hands. He begins to pull them apart with sheer force. What's the matter? Does it hurt? Well, I ain't done yet, mother effer. The awakened being can do nothing but watch helplessly as the flesh surrounding his mouth begins to slowly tear like paper. His eyes seem to plead for mercy, something which Ichigo doesn't notice. To be honest, even if he did, he could care less. In an instant, Ichigo tears the bottom half of his jaw away from the rest of his head as purple blood erupts from the gaping cavity. He then drives his fist deep down the monster's throat and grins. "So, you like eating humans, right? Then swallow this, B." Ichigo fires a Zero from within the awakened being's body, causing it to explode in thousands of pieces. The river momentarily turns purple as demon blood mixes with water. Ichigo stares into the sky and howls like a wild animal, triumphantly screaming with maniacal laughter. Dispelling his hollow mask, he makes his way back to dry land. Suddenly, grogginess and confusion overwhelm his senses. He presses against a tree to prevent himself from falling down, but it's a futile attempt. He quickly collapses in a heap as the darkness begins to overtake him. Before passing out, he says 2 words. "Ichigo, impossible." So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 4. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Hollowfied Tweaker on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.